Wiles, the executive director of the Center for Climate Integrity, the website climateintegrity.org, the Twitter handle Climate Costs, C-O-S-T-S. And Richard, this remarkable admission by this ExxonMobil lobbyist, did we aggressively fight against some of the science? Yes. Did we join some of these shadowy groups to work against some of the early efforts? Yes, that's true. But we were looking out for our investments, our shareholders. Tell me about this.
Well, yeah, thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me on. This is just another example of Exxon, lying about their, what they're really doing. I mean, this is just another example of the fact that they've known that their products were going to cause climate change for 40 years. They've been masterminding this deception campaign for many decades, multi-hundred-million-dollar campaign. And now they got caught on tape basically saying, oh, yeah, this whole thing about us supporting a carbon tax, well, we're just doing that because we know it won't pass, and Did we lie? Yeah, we lied a little bit. Did we pay for front groups? Yeah, to distort the science? Yeah, we did that, but it's not illegal. So yeah, I mean, this just outed them for what what many have been saying they've been doing all along, and what the basis of about 25 different lawsuits against the company for doing exactly that, lying about their role in causing climate change.
And it seems to be having an impact. In the previous hour, we had a caller call up and say, well, let me tell you about this YouTube channel where they say that, it was just as hot back in the 1930s as it is now, and there's a, quack, 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 which is the, one of the many BS lines that Exxon has been funding these front groups. And by the way, they can do it with tax-deductible money. You and I are paying for this, right, when they're funding nonprofits?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they take advantage of all the tax loopholes. They're not dumb. They're really good at what they do.
Yeah, so this guy has been a lobbyist on Capitol Hill. His name is Keith McCoy. He's been a lobbyist there for 8 years, if the information I have is correct. And one of the points that he made in this leaked video is that he and ExxonMobil have had for some time 11 U.S. senators in their back pockets. Who are these people, and how did Exxon get them in their back pocket?
Well, it was a bipartisan group of 11 senators. It was, of course, Senator Manchin and a bunch of other of the usual suspects.
Yeah, I have the list here right in front of me. I'll just read it real quickly and let you riff on that, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Shelley Moore Capito, Joe Manchin. Now they both represent West Virginia. Kirsten Sinema, John Tester, Maggie Hassan, John Barrasso, John Cornyn, Steve Daines, Chris Coons, Mark Kelly, which surprises me, and Marco Rubio. So what do we make of this?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. They've been funding a disinformation campaign and lying about climate change for 40 years, and they've set up the public to basically believe what they're saying, right? So, there's a lot of people in those states represented by those senators that, are going to present a real problem for those senators, right? Because Exxon has teed up that way. Exxon, Koch, Chevron, it's the whole cabal, right? Yeah. So they have manipulated the mind of the American public to such a degree that, even if some of those senators would like to do the right thing, it's really tough because of the 40 years of disinformation. And the other thing is all the obvious answers. It's money, right? It's campaign contributions. I mean,
right.
We all know about that.
But right? it's like the major strategy. We're talking with Richard Wiles, the executive director of the Center for Climate Integrity. And 15 years ago, we've been doing the show for 18 years or thereabouts, and 15 years ago I used to have Mark Morano on and debate climate with him because it seemed like there was a debate at that point in time. And we later learned that Mark was, well funded by these people, shall we say, at the very least. And right. But they were actually saying, oh no, plants love carbon dioxide. We're actually producing something that's good for agriculture. And the Earth goes through seasonal variations. And what about the little ice age in the 1600s and all this kind of BS. And occasionally that gets echoed back to us, like the caller that I had in the previous hour. But more often than not, the message is quite different now. I recall when the governor of Washington State, which I'm in Portland, Oregon here, and so we are in the Vancouver, Washington media market, and so we see the ads from Washington State. And I remember, when the governor proposed a very modest carbon tax that was going to cycle back to people who use fossil fuel, drivers and things like that. It basically wasn't going to cost Washingtonians anything, and it would start slightly incentivizing businesses across the state to move away from carbon. It had like over 70% approval rating. And then the fossil fuel industry came in and launched this just, carpet bomb. I mean, this is like, napalm in Vietnam. You couldn't watch TV for 15 minutes without seeing an ad, from one of these guys talking. But they weren't talking anymore about, oh, this is not a problem because there's no climate change. Instead, they were saying, well, we agree that we need to do something about the climate and about carbon, but we don't want to destroy the economy to get there. I mean, they've changed their pitch, and I'm guessing most of these senators are using these new and improved talking points.
Yeah, or they're a victim of the campaigns you just described, right?
Yes.
So you got, right, that's the thing. Like,
as was Jay
guys are really good at what they do, right? They'll go into those states and just making it really tough for people to do the right thing. I mean, we think they should step up and do the right thing. But, the other way to think about it, though, these companies are being sued in 25 different places for their lies, right, for the fact that they lied to the public. And now they have about their role in climate change. And now, taxpayers are forced to, pay for all of the adaptation measures, all the damage, all of the, all the costs of adapting to climate change are falling on the taxpayers. And what we think people ought to say is like, hey, wait a minute, and this would work for any of these senators. Look, these guys knowingly caused this problem. They lied about it for 30 years. They're still lying. Look at this videotape, right? You can't trust them at all. They're not good faith partners here in the climate solutions process. But at a minimum, they ought to just pay for the damages, right? We can set aside the blame, but we all know that, climate change is caused by fossil fuels. And just like tobacco, just like opioids, just like all these products where the manufacturers know that they're causing massive harm and lie about it, oil and gas is no different. They have to pay for the damages. That, I think, is a way to talk about this issue that can cut through to a much broader base of voters in those states. And, that's what we try to do, and that's what we think these lawsuits can do, is to reframe the way people think about climate change as an issue, not that they caused by driving to the store or whatever the hell it is, or not one that's going to cost them jobs, or not even one that's really going to bring them a job, but one that was caused by lying corporations who are lying to this day, who can't be trusted and need to pay for the damage that they knowingly caused and are going to continue to cause. It's just a simple proposition. You make something that's going to cause harm, you pay for the damages. It's as simple as that. We'd like to see, we think that's what the real, the way to break through in these places where Exxon is in there.
So is this entirely a let's fight it in the federal courts strategy? Because, Trump really stacked the federal courts, as we saw in these Supreme Court decisions today.
Right.
I doubt they're going to be
courts. Absolutely not federal courts.
Okay,
State
so
court.
is there...
The battle here is to be in state court.
In state courts.
The point I guess I'm making for these senators is that the narrative behind those lawsuits, which need to be in state court, just like opioids, just like tobacco, where the manufacturers knew and lied,
right.
Same with oil and gas, it's the narrative in those suits that needs to become the way we think about climate change, right? That's what we think can change, can make it a hell of a lot harder for Exxon to go in and buy votes. Right?
So how many lawsuits? So you said there's 25 lawsuits against ExxonMobil. If people want to learn more about this, I'm assuming climateintegrity.org. You've got that information on your website.
Yep. Or Pay Up Climate Polluters is another one.
Payupclimatepolluters.what?
Yeah. .org. Yeah.
.org. Pay Up Climate Polluters. I love it. Richard Wiles, the Executive Director of the Center for Climate Integrity. ClimateIntegrity.org is the website. Richard, thanks so much for dropping by, and keep up the great work.
Yep, thanks a lot.
Yeah, and I will let me just run through that list. And thank you, Richard.